cherish what we hear more dearly and follow him in a very intimate way. From the, what was that, Day by Day from Godspell or something. All right. So then what I was talking about before, Alan called, this sort of this kind of is related, that I've often been of the opinion, the mindset, that I don't so much even want to ask God for things. I just want to trust him to give me what I need when I need it, because he knows better than I. And if I just keep asking, Lord, could you give me this? And remember when I prayed this yesterday? Well, I still haven't gotten it, so I'm just asking for it again. And remember what I prayed for on Tuesday? Yeah, I'm still asking for that. All right, so I'm praying for that again. And at some point, to me, it just sounds disrespectful that we don't trust God to remember what our prayer is. We don't trust God to really know what we need, that we actually have to remind him of what it is we need, because if we don't ask for what it is we think we need, then God will just not give it to us. Like James, I think, says, you have not because you ask not. I think in some cases I can see where that's true, but in other cases I can see where, just trusting God to give us things as he sees fit is more honorable to him as God, that we sort of nurture that attitude of continually living in a bowed down posture of trusting that whatever it is that we need, God, who has not spared his own Son, will surely give us everything else that we need. As long as we continue to sort of nurture that attitude, that devotion, that submission, and that yielding to him to decide when and how to give us the things that we need. But I think that does need to be balanced with particular asking of things. And the reason why I say that is because of certain things in Scripture and certain things that have happened in my life where I've actually seen or felt like God wanted my mouth to move and say the words, God, would you give me this thing that is so dear to my heart that I am asking for? And I think the reason he wants us to be specific in what we ask for is so that he can, or so that we can see and experience his intimate attention to our every little need, and that by asking for it and standing to believe for it, it sort of helps focus that relationship between father and child in a way that is more intimate than just, well, whenever you want to give it to me, whatever you say is right, I'm not going to ask for anything. You know, it's sort of like a more intimate dialogue is going on there. And I'm being told we have another phone call.
Hello?
Yes, who's there?
Hi, my name is Sarah.
Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, I was listening to your program, and I heard you talking about trust in God, and, well, I just wanted to maybe ask for guidance or an opinion. I recently, had to learn how to trust in God because I've had a tragedy or, you know, a hardship where I have a child that was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer. Her prognosis in the beginning was 30% chance of survival, and it was just horrible for our family. And of course, we did our own research online, which freaked me out more, and I had no choice but to turn to God and you know, kind of just put what I've learned growing up and what my parents instilled in me and just hand it over to God and trust in God and believe and have faith. And I was feeling great, and He got us through the last year. We had a lot of close calls. So many times He's come so close, and I believe it's all God and trusting in God. And now we're nearing the end of treatment again and pretty much crossing our fingers that nothing comes back because it's pretty much the chemo that was keeping her alive for the last year. And I'm having such a problem going back to where I was when I was able to just trust. And, of course, my grandmother, a very religious woman, gives me good advice, and she says, you know, trust like you did when you had no choice, when you got on your knees and you asked Him to help you, you know, get back to that place. But I'm having such a hard time getting back to that place because I'm frantic. I'm panicking, and I'm losing sight, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, she has one more treatment left, and it's going to come back, and I'm just losing faith and trust, and I just can't get back there again.
Yeah. How old is your child?
She's 16.
And so the chemo is helping, but you're just thinking that the symptoms may return?
Well, the chemo's helping keep her alive, definitely. You know, it shrunk the chemo, and a combination of chemo and the radiation shrunk her tumor, and of course it's preventing incubation and keeping cancer out of her blood. But, I mean, she hasn't eaten for a year. She's on a feeding machine. She lost her ability to walk at one point. And that's all coming back slowly. Some of it could be irreversible, but she's beating those odds. You know, it's hard. It's been tough. It's been a horrible year. So, well, it's keeping her alive, you know?
Yeah.
And now my fear is it's going to be done soon. And now what's going to happen? And 4 months ago, I didn't even think that way. I just gave it all to God. Thanked Him when she got over these little things. She even lost her eyesight in one eye because the tumor was, you know, that's just how it worked. The tumor severed her optical nerve, and she can't see in one eye.
Oh.
So we even got through that, and I'm just nervous. Like, it's going to come back. Now that the chemo's out of her system, is it going to, along with these good cells coming back, are these bad cells going to come? Because there's a very rare form of cancer, and it was a very aggressive form of cancer.
Yeah.
And now I'm panicking. I'm having panic attacks. Like, I'm just not right. It's just a mess. And I was just so calm and so, you know, with it when I was trusting in God, and now I'm just not there anymore, and I can't get back there.
So, now you're saying your grandma had said, like you were being more faithful when you like had no choice, or your back was up against the wall, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So how is now different than then?
I don't know. I don't have an answer.
So,
It just happened. It just, all of a sudden, I just, you know, thinking. You know, I believe, like, you could will things to you, and I believe you could manifest things if you focus too much on them. But I just, no matter what, I keep thinking that now that this is done and, you know, she's nearing the end of her chemo, and she's so excited about her hair growing back, and I'm putting on a happy face for her, like, oh yeah, I see you got eyebrows, you know, there's a shadow. But in my head, I'm like, oh God, is anything bad growing back with it? Like, I just can't be happy when I should just be happy. I'm just
right,
frantic, and I just can't get back to that place where I try, believe me, I'm trying every day. I'm talking to God every day. I'm on my knees every night. You know, I'm talking to my grandmother, and I'm walking the walk, but it's just not in my heart where I totally have trust like I know I should, and I feel horrible. I'm just speaking honestly.
Yeah, are there either friends or family members that share your faith, the kind of faith you had before where you weren't questioning things so much?
Yeah, my mom, she's great, and she's a very spiritual woman, strong in her belief, and she redirects me for a little while, but I know it's like unspoken words. We share the same worries, except for she'll ignore it.
Right. Well, I really appreciate your honesty. Is just amazingly refreshing and beautiful to witness. Just your honesty in this.
Thank you.
I don't have any other advice to you other than to keep doing what you're doing, and in time, I believe God will give you the strength to kind of return to where you were before, and even to go beyond where you were before. I mean, my own experience, I won't get into any details, but I've been going through a really hard time lately, and it just, I'd be crying and praying, and just like things just don't seem to be going better, and I feel bad about myself, like, God, I'm not acting very faithfully, and blah, 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 but then, like, all of a sudden, it almost seemed like out of nowhere, I just got all this, like, support and life and encouragement, and it was just like a breath of fresh air came in, and it was sort of like God's timing to just, like, answer my prayer. And it's not like I did anything different, because here I was, miserable and crying and wondering and doubting and praying and doing everything I could, but it just seemed like it was up one day, down the next, and just this big mess. So it made no sense that all of a sudden I got, like, all this strength. So I can only think of it as God's mercy came to me in the timing that was right, and now I feel almost like I'm not even going through this hard time, because His presence and life in me is so strong that I just feel like I can handle it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just going to pray for you that happens for you, Sarah, and your daughter. And one other thing I want to mention to you, I'm not sure how much you want to get into this, but have you ever heard of apricot seeds?
Yes, I have.
There's this website called Our Father's Farm, and they sell apricot seeds, and I took like 20, I weigh about 185 pounds, so I had like 20 of them a day for about a month, and I had cancer in me that went away.
Oh, wow.
From using those apricot seeds.
Okay.
But, I don't know if there's something you would want to look into, but if I'm taking 20 of them and I weigh 185 pounds, and you just don't want to take too many, because if you do, it can actually kill you, because what it is it creates cyanide in your system, which is a poison, but the poison attaches to the cancer cells.
Okay.
So as long as you're not taking too much, then that can be a way of slowing down, if not reversing, the cancer growth.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of data out there on like how to take them, so I'm just letting you know. I know I read where you can read about it and read different people's stories. Like this one woman had lumps in her breast from breast cancer, and she was taking as many as like 50 a day, and her lumps disappeared. So I wouldn't want to give you advice in a way where, you know, you were taking too many of them. So you'd have to. I just let you know out of my own experience. For somebody who weighs 185 pounds, I was just taking 20 a day, and that was enough for me. So you might.
Okay, her doctors are all for any kind of holistic measures, but they want to know everything because with what you're explaining, you saying it's actually a kind of a poison, so it's killing the tumor or the cancer in the blood. So that kind of acts just as chemo, where the other stuff we've looked up is kind of strengthening. So they were worried about certain things and certain roots making these bad cells more aggressive. So they wanted to know everything we did before we did it.
Right.
We haven't tried anything.
Yeah. And that's the problem, because, you know, there's a lot of data out there because, you know, people have misused it and maybe have actually lost their lives because they were so aggressive in taking these things that they actually overloaded their system. But anyway, I just mentioned it to you. I'll be in prayer for you and your daughter, and I'm really glad you called, and you've just been a real blessing. I have to go off the air now, but I'm sure there'll be many Christians around the area here who are hearing this who are going to be in prayer for you and your daughter.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, God bless you.
You too.
Okay.